Guess what? We're back. Changing another rocker arm, I believe, due to ticking noise in the inside of this 2016 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon. First time I had the problem was 7 months ago, and it was on the driver's side. So I had to go under, I forget what it's called, but anyway, go under this. Had to take all the stuff off. My fault this time. I just assumed it was going to be in the same spot. So when I got in here, I originally took off the driver's side again, went in there, found that all my rocker arms were good. So now I'm on the passenger side, and unfortunately for you or for everybody whoever has to try to do this, you have to take off the PCV valve, which is in the back right there. I'll show it to you in a minute, but I used a T25 bit with just my fingers to loosen it. Actually, I tried to start with a 1/4-inch ratchet. It's just really hard to get back in there. But I was able to, using these old meat hooks, I was able to put my hand back in here. I'm not going to hold the bit, but wedge my hand back in here, put it on the little bolt, and loosen it. As you can see, I had to take out the battery tray in order to get in there. I originally did everything I could to not take the battery tray out, but you just can't do it. There's really no way to do it unless somehow you have, which I don't know if you can see down there, but you might be able to see the ground. Unless you're able to get in from the bottom with a tool, which I really don't think it's possible. But anyway, it's just a mess. You're disconnecting hoses, cables all over the place. It takes you seriously over an hour to get into this thing. For me, it's been like hours and hours, because I've been trying all these different ways to get to that PCV valve without having to, I guess first off, I was trying to take it off without having to take the PCV valve off. Like maybe thought I could lift up the bolts in the back and then slide this backwards, but that didn't work. That was just one thought. Finally this morning, I'm like, you know what, I took the bit out, just used my fingers, and that's how I was able to get it out. I was gonna, rather than using a ratchet, I was gonna get a wrench and somehow tape this inside a little open face, or a closed in wrench, tape it in the hole, so have a little tiny wrench like here, so just get a little bit extra leverage on it. But I was able to do it with just my fingers. So we're to this point right now. Next point is removing this, finding out which rocker arm is bad. I think it's based on what I've read. I've seen a lot of them in the back go bad, but find out which rocker arm's bad. Release the bolts that hold the cam bearings down, I think is what they're called, but I'll show all that. So here we go. Let's get after it. Now that we got the two little bolts out, I'll show you how easy it is to remove this valve, how easy it comes out. It just pops right out, and then you've got to kind of twist it, and hope I don't drop it down there. That's it. So we got it out. PCV valve is removed. Now we can work on getting that valve cover off. I'm not going to record this. I don't have anywhere to put my camera, but look at all these wires and this stuff's in the way. It's going to be a bear getting this thing off, so bear with me. I'll come back after I've got everything removed. Oh yeah, and something I didn't say, but to remove it, if you've never done this before, besides the battery tray and everything, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bolts going around the outside, around the perimeter. You've got this thing right here. I don't know what it is. Maybe some kind of, oops, sorry. This thing may be some kind of sensor, but you have to remove this bolt right here. I think it's a T30, like star bit. It gets it out. And then there's just that connector. There's some other connectors that go around it that connect to the end down here. And, oh yeah, you have to remove, I don't know what it's called. This it goes down into the spark plug to send it a signal. There's 3 of those, 1, 2, 3. You do not have to remove the spark plugs. This might get in the way right here. This is the engine oil tester gimmick. I think there's a bolt down below to remove that, to get it out of the way if we need to. but I'm going to try my best to not have to remove it. Wish me luck. All right, just wanted to keep you updated. I'm to this point. You can see I've got the valve cover kind of removed, but now it's really catching hard on the oil dipstick thing. So I just wanted to show you. Also had to remove a couple of these hoses. I think it's cooling hoses. So a bunch of fluid came out. I put a towel down to collect what fell out, just for safety's sake, keep everything out of the by the camshaft where all the oil's down in there. But like I said, it's caught on this. Can't get this. I'm gonna have to remove it, but I'm really gonna try my best to not have to do that. I just want to give you a heads up. Looking at when you get inside, or you've taken the valve cover off, you see all these bolts. There's 8 of them. They're holding down the camshaft bearing cap, I think is what it's called. But anyway, that holds the camshaft in place, keeps tension on it. So you'll need to release pressure off of each of those bolts by about 1/4 of an inch roughly. You'll get the feel of it when you're doing it. But what it's doing is it's going to allow the camshaft to raise up a little bit, enabling you to pull out what rocker arm is bad, or at least to get in there and feel which rocker arm is bad. Once pressure is released off of each off of each rocker arm, then you're going to be able to move them around, and they're going to make a slight ticking noise, but you'll know which one's bad when you get to it. It's going to be really loud and ticky. Also, the lobe might be deteriorated a little bit, but let's get after it. I'll show you what we're doing. After taking off all the bolts on the far passenger side that hold the camshaft caps on, bearing caps or whatever they're called, I found no loose rocker arms on this side. I was getting real discouraged. I was feeling every single one of them. I'll show you what I was doing. So on the, I'm going to call it a lobe, I don't know, but where the lobe comes out to let's call it the tip of the raindrop, not the bottom portion. It's all fat. Fat's over here. It's the tip of the raindrop that engages the rocker arm and then engages the valve down below. So as it spins or rotates or whatever it's doing in there, it's pushing down on that rocker arm, right? Then therefore pushing down the valve. So right now you can see this one is not engaged. It's pointing out this way toward the passenger side, so the rocker arm's loose. Well, that doesn't mean that rocker arm's bad, right? When it was engaged fully, they were real tight. Like this one's pretty tight. It's up in the tip here, closest to the timing chain or whatever it's called. So there's a lot of pressure forward. As I release these, the pressure is alleviated off the aft section. It comes up, so the camshaft comes upward from the back, stays down in the front, therefore this one's a little tight. But I'm going to check them all nonetheless. So when I first got in here, I checked this side. What I initially looked for was wear and tear on the camshaft, on this lobe right here. Typically when you get a real bad, or sometimes when you get a bad rocker arm, you'll find wear and tear along the edges where, here's the bad rocker arm. Because the bearing, watch it go up and down. Well, you might see it go up and down. It's not supposed to do that. So because it can go down now, these two channels, this one right, oops, sorry, this track right here and the track on the other side, these metal of the main frame of the rocker arm, it puts pressure on this lobe and therefore wears it away. So that's a telltale sign that that's the bad rocker arm. Well, when I got on this side, keep in mind, this is a pain in the rear to get to where I'm at right now. And like I said earlier, I already went to the driver's side initially, took it off because that's where it was last time, so I just assumed had the same problem again. But I was wrong, so I put it all back together, and now I came almost all back together. Then I came on this side, and after finally getting in here, I'm checking them all before I loosened any of these bolts, and nothing's loose. Not a single one of them were loose. It wasn't until I lifted up, or I released pressure. Well, I did this side first, found no bad rocker arms. I released pressure on this side. I started at the front, nothing. Finally get to the very last one, of course, last place you look. I found a bad rocker arm. Luckily, it's on the far back side because there's a lot more tension up here in the front than there is in the back, like I said a minute ago. So all I got to do is, oh, and another thing, it's in the down position, so that lobe is facing down, therefore putting his maximum pressure on this thing. If it was in the up position, it wouldn't have been that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. Uh-oh. Something just fell off the... Anyway, I'll find it later. If it was in the up position, not a big deal. It's easy to get to. But when it's in the down position, over on the other side before, I've had it one in the down position, and when I went to remove the rocker arm, there's nothing I could have done. I released the pressure as much as I could. I just couldn't get to it. So probably not a good idea, but with the valve cover off, I just got everything out of the way here because things are going to be turning. I cranked the engine real quick, just to spin it a little bit, change position of the rocker arm, came in. Luckily, that lobe was facing up so I could access the rocker arm. But anyway, you know, it's really sad that I'm talking about, that I know this much about a rocker arm. I'm not a mechanic, but I know this much about this stuff only because I own a Jeep JK with a 3.6 Penstar. Well, really more so than anything, I own a Chrysler Penstar with a 3.6. I think it's a 3.6, maybe it's a 3.8, I forget. But anyway, obvious issue with this engine is the rocker arm. Once I get this thing fixed, I promise you it will be another month, maybe 2 months at the most, and I don't have this car anymore. I'm getting rid of this thing. I've about had it coming in here, taking 2 or 3 days during work to, you know, fix things. But anyway, here's the problem. I know you don't care about that. What you care about is how do I fix my rocker arm. Here's how you fix it. Here it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a new one. I've got some over here, and I'm going to install it. I'll see if I can show you the install. It's going to be real difficult because I got to set the camera somewhere. All right. I know this doesn't do it the best, give you the best view, but it's going to go in this way. Keep in mind the lobe is in the down position. I'm going to try to come in from the back, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Oh, hold on. It's in sideways. I got an idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to run it in sideways like this and then roll it over. It's really tight. Oh, here we go. All right, I got it in there. There we go. I got it around the post in the back. I can feel it, or at least I think I can. No, I didn't. Never mind. It was a big lie. Oh man. Tell you what, I got this little tiny screwdriver. I'm gonna use this as another finger. I gotta turn it sideways to get it on. Come on, buddy. Oh, are we on it? No, we're not on it. It's way up there. I don't know if this is gonna be possible. Oh, yeah, okay, there we go. So what I did is I was able to put pressure on the back side. We have reinstalled that new rocker arm. It was a bear to get back in there. I had to take out those 2 bolts on top of the bearing cap thing, almost all the way out, and really lift up. I actually put something underneath the camshaft, kind of lifted it up, and with my other finger trying to barely just worked it in there. Finally got it on there. Now this is the inside. If you can see, hopefully, the inside of the valve cover, and this is where the PCV valve goes. So it comes inside here and it mounts on, or it hooks onto that plastic thing right there. I don't know what it does, but that's why you can't just easily take off this valve cover. However, something I tried before, well, before I finally got it off, I tried to push it backwards, you know, to the back, but there's just so much stuff back there. I didn't have enough room to push it all the way back to slide it up. That might be possible in some of the engines. I'm sorry, some of the cars that have this engine, but there's just so much, or so little room inside this Jeep engine area that it just wasn't going to happen, at least not for me. But by all means, if you're able to get it get it off like that, give it a try. That way you don't have to go and undo those little bolts on the back. It's really hard to get to them. That was what took me, I'd have been done with this yesterday, but I just couldn't. I tried everything. Finally today I just grabbed the, like I said earlier, grabbed the bit in my hand, my fingers, and just wrenched it apart. Now time to put everything back together. Hopefully I remember where everything goes. Luckily all these cable runs are pretty much set in their position. I did have to take off some of these metal hoses, whatever they are, and kind of set them in the direction that they were in before. So wish me luck. That's because I'm so excited about it. It took me only 5 minutes to get the valve cover back on. I thought it was going to take a much longer because it seriously took me hours to get this thing off. Granted, I have all the other parts in the way, but very happy about this. It took me about 5 minutes to wedge it back in place. Now I got to put the PCV valve back on, whatever this sensor thing is, and get all the bolts tied down, battery bin back in, hook up the hoses, give her a test. I'm not going to film doing that, by the way. For anybody who wants to know, these hoses, they got, like, I guess coolant in them. Just pull this, you know, clamp down with some pliers. I just used some pliers like this, some channel locks, clamped them down and pushed it back, and they slide right off fairly easily. They're not screwed in there or anything, so easy to come off. That's pretty much the way everything comes off. These come off just by like pushing down on this black piece, and it disconnects. I don't know where I put the hose that went into it, but anyway, very simple to take those off. Pretty much anything that you got to disconnect hose wise comes out very easily. It may need a little coaxing sometimes. Like if I wasn't able to get these off initially, I might get a screwdriver and push on them a little bit from different sides, get them to start sliding, or I get some pliers and just gently grab around them and start twisting. But really not that difficult to get all the hoses off. If you need to do that, just keep in mind that when you take these hoses off, some fluid's going to come spewing out of there until it's empty. All right, I'm going to put everything back together. We'll give it a test run. The passenger side right now, after I've got everything almost back on, I've still got to put on, I don't know what it is, but that cover that goes over the top here. But just to recap what I put back together, I'm not going to be able to name everything, but these hoses, the hose that goes under the back of the PCV valve, hoses that go into this, I guess, air intake thing, whatever it is. Put the battery tray back in. One thing I forgot, oh, and this thing I had stuck over on the side of the garage, and I was looking for a tool and just happened to come across this. Just one of the many things that can happen when you're putting back together a car. You come across a part that you forgot about. But luckily for me, it goes on the top here, and I had some hoses that told me I needed a part anyway that were disconnected. But something to note, there's one little wire, you won't be able to see it, but it's way down in there, and it plugs in like a foot down below where my hand is right now. I forgot that, but it was easily connected. Just I hadn't yet put the air intake thing back in yet, the tray that holds the air filter. Hadn't put that in yet, so I was easily able just to reach my hand under there and put it back together. But we're to the point now where I've got everything connected, I think, and I'm gonna go, oh, I put some coolant back in it because when you disconnect these, coolant falls out. So I put more coolant in there. Gonna go ahead and remove the fan, remove the rag, fire it up, and hopefully I don't hear a ticking noise anymore. And the next step after that is look for a new vehicle, because I've had it with this thing. This is the second time I've done this in 7 months, and I'm not gonna do it again. I should note is this thing is a 2016, I think I said that, and it has 93,000 miles on it, I believe. So it happened in the 80s, 7 months ago, so about 15, I don't know, so 80,000 miles it happened, and now again at 93,000 miles. However, it was a different rocker arm. There's a whole bunch of them in there to choose from, so I'm sure if we roll the dice, we're going to get another one before long. But like I said, I'm not going to be the one that has to deal with this next time. The next idiot that has to have this fixed is going to probably take it to a dealership, and I think they tell you they have to remove the engine to do that, and it's going to be at least $500 or more. All right, here's the test. Looking for no ticking noise. Sounds pretty smooth. Let's get outside. Yeah. We'll take it. We'll take it right to the dealership and get rid of it. That's what we'll do. But anyway, we got it. Got that ticking noise gone. This is what you're looking at when everything's put back together. Just kind of give you a reference point if you're doing this, just so you don't forget anything. Give you a way to maybe come back and take a look, like, oh, I forgot something. I didn't have a picture of it before I started. This is what you're looking at. If you're doing the driver's side, which is the easier side, you're going to remove this, of course, remove that, and then the air intake portion, and then you're going to take the valve cover off. You really don't have to remove too many hoses or anything, just these connections here, a couple sensor connections, and that's really it. Now, if you're doing the passenger side, you got to do a lot. You got to remove some of these hoses here. I took out the battery tray, the battery, the fuse box thing, of course the air intake, because you can't do anything without taking that out. I don't know what this thing is, but you got to remove it. Don't forget to put it back. I almost did. There's a connection way down at the bottom there, but like I said, this is just a frame of reference for you. Before you get started and after you get done, it should still look like this. Before we get rid of this piece of junk, we're gonna have to take it on another trailer or two, see if we can't break something else. Thanks for watching the video. Let me know if you have any questions and I'll try to respond.